Career transitions are a hot topic, but we rarely get to talk about why or when professionals should actually consider one. Too often than not, we overlook the real challenges that come with making a career switch. In this conversation with Emmanuel, we'll be diving into the importance of career transitions, how thinking differently can give you an edge in any industry, and how gaining experiences in a different role, whether it's a complete career shift or a role that enhances your current career path, can actually create new opportunities for growth and success for you. We'll also explore Emmanuel's own personal journey from product to sales, unpacking the lessons he's learned along the way. So whether you're an experienced professional or just starting out, if you're thinking about a career shift or simply want to learn how to navigate change, or you need to be convinced on why every professional should actually step into a different role at least once. This conversation would give you fresh insights and also new perspective on how to approach it.
Be your host today, and today I'm joined by a guest that I really look up to, and so many people in the product management community in Nigeria specifically look up to. So today's conversation is one that I've been looking forward to having, and it's very incredible that it's something that I get to share with other professionals around the world, where if they are looking towards having a big career transition or considering it, this session is for you. And I'm joined by my guest today, who is Emmanuel. So Emmanuel is used to be a product manager or currently still is a product manager. I think he's going to clarify that with you guys. So he has worked with tech companies, including Interswitch. So he currently pivoted into a career in sales. And today's conversation, we'll be discussing why you as a professional need to at least try out at least one career path. So Emmanuel, I'll just hand over the mic to you to please introduce yourself, a brief introduction, and while you're at it, I want you to say something interesting or fun about you that no one else knows, and I want them to find out on this video. So over to you.
Oh, thank you for the introduction, Aminat. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. It's like Aminat said, I am a product manager. I've been doing doing product for over 6 years now. And, I didn't initially start out as a product manager because I had a technical background working as a software engineer. I'll get into details later. But yeah, so currently I'm in a sales role where I'm more customer facing, and it's very interesting. I'm looking forward to sharing what I've learned so far about transitioning or pivots, because this will be my fourth pivot. I don't know, pivots probably in my career so far. So yeah, one something interesting about myself.
Yes.
Hmm. Uh, Interesting. I'd say I used to be able to spend days playing FIFA without sleeping back when I had less responsibilities. So I think my record was 3 days.
Let me get you straight.
Gaming streaming was a thing in game industry. No, I wish I was. This was that the old me was right now. I think I'll be making a lot more money just playing games, and that'll be very fun.
Maybe your next pivot to be a professional game.
Probably, who knows? Maybe I'm just going to pick up my PlayStation again.
All right. So let's get into it. Thank you so much for that. So let's start with the big change you made recently from being a product manager to sales. So usually when you hear about a transition, right, it's usually from people from non-tech backgrounds to tech backgrounds, or maybe people that are starting out early in their career. That is when they try out different careers and finally get to decide on one. But speaking from my point of view, it's really rare. It's really rare for you to find a professional that has a solid career ongoing for them to finally take another career switch or transition to start fresh or anew in another path. So my question to you would be why?
Okay, so For me, it was a couple of things. So I decided to, further my education recently. So I'm currently enrolled in my MBA program, hoping to finish later on this year. And that was a step for that. That step was because I realized, as a product manager, there's some things I could learn, in an MBA program, such as the financial aspects of what it means to run a company. Because I don't have an accounting background or finance background, so these are some things I've picked up along the way. But to further develop those skills and also increase my level of education, I said that MBA was the best path for me. Aside from finance, we go more in depth into things like strategy, leadership in that program. So I put the product on hold and decided to, go and do my MBA. While doing that, I realized, okay, I started thinking, what skills did I feel were not as developed as my, technical side of my product career. And sales, even though naturally I've been doing something of that sort, because I've worked in B2B industries where I had to basically be involved in the sales aspect of, selling to another company, getting the company to buy into your product and use it enterprise wide. So sales was an aspect I decided, okay, here's an area I can develop further, right? And at the core of sales, what is it? Sales is really, being able to uh, understand your customer, you know, being able to speak your customer's language, being able to know what motivates them, what drives them, which is also very essential for a product manager, right? The art of selling is something that will never get old. And the better you know how to sell, the more effective you'll be able, to drive revenue. And uh, you've heard of stories where sales legends they could sell you something you already had, just in a different way.
Together.
Yeah, they just know how to speak to people, what makes people tick, and then, well, I see that as a transferable skill in product. So yes, I said, okay, while I'm doing my MBA, why not try something different? Why not do something more customer facing? Because as a product manager, yeah, interfacing with customers regularly, as regularly as possible, right? So be able to um, directly convince people to spend money. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, like sales has a lot of psychology involved. You need to understand. I mean, they have overlapping responsibilities, both roles. As a product manager, you need to understand your customers, while as a salesperson, you need to understand how they think because it's different for you to actually build, then it's different for you to actually convince them. Like you have the right product, right, that solves their
Yeah.
issue, but you need to convince them to actually buy it. So far, how long has this transition been? Like a year, a month, or
No, so I'm still fresh. It's been a couple of months. I would say around 2 or 3,
uh,
right? So, and the experience has been, interesting. I've learned things. I'm still learning. Because one thing about transition, you have to come with an open mind. You have to be ready to start afresh, to open your mind to, new ways of doing things. Right, but working having a product background did help me make it easier for me to adapt. Yeah, so far so good. I can't complain.
okay, that's fine. So, that's been like over 3 months now since you transitioned. So, can you compare your role as a product manager, like your day-to-day responsibilities as a product manager, to your day-to-day responsibility as a salesperson? Like, what do you do differently, like, and like your role?
Okay, so As a product manager, we are usually more in the center of everything, and you are interfacing with so many more other departments. You might not really know enough about each department. No, you might not be a subject matter expert in each department, but you need to know a little or something enough to be able to communicate effectively with people from other department and work towards the same goal, right? So as a product manager, I'm with engineering, I'm talking to legal, I'm talking to sales, right? Getting feedback from sales like, okay, why are customers not buying, or what's the issue, or talking to customer success, managing, the C-suite level as well, talking to us high-level stakeholders, right? Whereas sales, you are really just your customer is your customer is more your main focus, right? Especially if you're in B2B, right? You have to be able to manage relationships that already exist and be able to grow or new relationships for your organization, right? You are going to most likely talk to the customer or get feedback from the customer if they're selling, if you're buying, if you're not buying, and then report this feedback back to maybe if it's a tech product, back to the product manager.
Yeah.
Okay, these are strategies we've tried. These are the roadblocks we're having. Fix it. All right. Or if you're selling a physical product and you're like, okay, we are selling more, you're reporting, okay, more bottom line. You are focused more on the bottom line. Okay, we are selling more of these products, these kind of products, right? Whereas these ones are not selling. Here's why, based off of feedback from the customer, right? Or customer requests, right? We tried to, but customer said they're only going to buy if we have X or if we do Y, right? So it's really more about relationships, relationship building, relationship maintenance.
What type of skill sets you really need to have sales?
Yes, yes. So you have to be very comfortable speaking with people. Very comfortable. You have to be able to the art of small talk. You have to be able to know when to throw in flattery, how to flatter people, how to get them comfortable around you. Make them feel good about themselves. You're not depending on your selling style. You're not going to go. Be so direct, right? You have to be able to massage them to convince them to spend your money.
Their money
Uh,
or renew their money.
or renew subscription, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, things like that. So
It sounds like you're having fun because you explaining your day to day as a salesperson, you kept on smiling and smiling. So
I mean, it's fun sometimes, definitely. Yeah, it can be frustrating at times as well when you
actually
don't sell.
product is frustrating, but I wouldn't want
Yeah,
to say sales doesn't have its frustrating aspect too.
because we have KPIs, right?
Yes.
There are KPIs as for everybody. But the first things first, if you're not selling, the sales team gets the call first before you go to the other teams like, okay, what's going on? We are not hitting targets for the month, or we're off by 50% or X amount of percentage, right? So that's not the fun. That's not the fun part. The fun part is when sales are going, and they're hitting targets, everybody's getting bonuses, everybody's good, everybody, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's a
cool.
balance.
Yeah, sure. Okay, speaking about skill sets that you've had to like develop over the way, you mentioned something like relationship management, which is very key in terms of having a good relationship with customers and the likes, right? So,
Yes.
what skill sets have you been able to develop over the time? And also, what challenges do you have while developing those skill sets? Like, what was more challenging to you when you transitioned? Because I remember the first time we had this conversation when you told me you pivoted into sales or you're trying to like explore the career path. I said, I didn't really see you as that kind of person. I know you as this kind of behind the scenes person, right? So now that you are doing this, right, what was the challenge? Because you are definitely going out of your comfort zone, right? Doing something that stretches you. So what was the challenging part for you the most?
Yeah, like like I first said, I'm not out there like that.
Yeah, yeah, like
I
so behind the scenes. You don't want people to know that
Yeah,
doing
I'm
stuff.
just behind there tinkering, doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
But here, I am at the forefront because I'm representing the company to the I am usually the first point of contact for the customers,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to I have to be more confident, more proactive in terms of engaging customers, right? I had to be the one to make the first step most times,
First
I had to be the
contact.
one to make them, comfortable, to make them, I mean, I was feeling uncomfortable doing all that. So, I had to, learn, improve my small talk, my
Yeah.
communication skills, to be more, friendly, more
I
social.
social.
Yes, more social. So someone walks in or calls, or and you're like, you have to be able to just start a conversation, and you'll be like, hey, how are you doing? How's the weather today? Good. Or wow, I noticed XYZ about so and so, just chat about things and just like make the person feel at ease, or dealing with a difficult customer who's unhappy, right, at that moment in time. So you have to be able to manage the situation, like, manage when they are distressed, right, and lead them towards a solution that works for both parties. So I would say like that that was one of the most difficult parts, being more proactive in that engagement side of things. Because I can talk to my engineers, I can talk to stakeholders. I don't have an issue with all those things, right? But being able to uh, it's not just once when you go and do customer interviews, it's once in a, it's not as often as you a salesperson talking to customers, right? You maybe do interviews every 2 weeks, or depending on the culture of the company,
Mhm.
or every other month or something like that. Then to get feedback from the customers, or you just send a survey, and then the
Yeah.
field survey, you get your data back, and that's that. But here you are the one going out hunting for them, right? And being able to take no on the chin, rejection. Yeah, you have to be okay.
Improve your communication with them, and they're like,
You have to be okay with rejection. You have to, not let it stop you, and just move on. Not let it,
"Try again."
yeah, try again. Maybe try a different tactic. Go back, replan, try again. You can't affect your morale that much because it's part of the business. So that was something, getting told no a lot. Getting, even after you think the person was laughing with you, the person was giving you, false positive signs that, yeah, they're going to buy. And at the end of the day, they're like, you know what? How about we discuss this again and pick this up again later in a month or something, or I'll get back to you, and they never get back to you. So you have to know, okay, you try again, even though you might get rejected again. So that was another thing that I have had to become used to, or get used to. Okay, what else would have been? You know, Product people are usually responsible for P&L. If you're in a senior enough role, profit and loss of, you have some responsibility for profit and loss. So not hitting targets or hitting targets, I've already used to that. So I won't say that was the difficult thing, right? But so I think those two things, sales tactics, maybe learning the words of the industry, picking it up, learning how to use the vocabulary, right, that's required. Was something it took me a while to get used to it. So yeah, I think those few things, yeah.
Hmm, hmm. Do you want to use any tactics for me on this call right now? Like, quickly sell something to me, like a pen.
Oh please, I'm 3 months in. Come on.
Okay, okay. Fine, fine, fine. So moving on would be that one of the reasons why we're having this conversation or this session is so that we can share with other professionals, not necessarily people that are pivoting from product to sales, but from one particular career to the other, right?
Yeah.
Looking at you, like I mentioned, you already have a solid career path. Like them, we know, like as somebody we look up to. Then you decide to explore sales, and there's a probability you either continue on that transition, like stay on that career path, or you come back to being a product manager and you complement your role with your experience in sales. I don't know, we probably share that on the call if you are willing to, probably, right? So, for you to try to explore in a sales role, was it that step? Was it a scary thing for you to do? Like, I'm very sure it's something you would have thought about, and I'm very sure there are several people out there currently. Maybe they are currently like director of products, chief product officers, and the likes, and they're like, I'm not sure I want to start all over in another career path. So I would like you to share from your own experience how bold of a step this was. Like, what was scary for you at the most, and how did you overcome it?
Okay. You mentioned directors of product and chief product of. I don't think those people have issues.
No, people can want to explore for like just to experience how the. For example, I
Yeah.
myself now I'm trying to explore cybersecurity and likes, but I know I have to come back to product management because I just want to use that experience to complement it, right? So
Okay. So for very experienced people who are making a career switch, I think it might be easier on them because they would have, some very, very well developed skills that are cross functional to be able to go to the field that they're looking to go into, right? Is it's very possible to go from product to marketing, maybe because you've spent a lot of time doing marketing related tasks as a product manager, or that's if you're at that level. I would say okay, you want me is this supposed to be you want to target people at that level, or mid to
no,
junior level?
generally, generally,
Generally, transitioning is it has to do with, like, there's a plan to why I transitioned. You have to have a reason, right? Why you are transitioning, why you want to do something different. Have you realized that product management is not serving you anymore, or your career as a data analyst doesn't serve you anymore, and you feel like, okay, over the years, I prefer being a product designer, or I'll prefer being a software engineer, right? And it's just a matter of, okay, what do you want for your, where do you see yourself in your career as an individual, as a professional, right? Or do you just want to dabble, to pick up some skills, to try something different, new challenge? Do you want, like, to challenge yourself?
yeah.
No. And then just see how well you can master new things and skills in a new environment, right? Because no knowledge gain is lost. So it depends on what the person's objectives or goals are for the transition, right? If you want to transition, like, you have to. That's why I said first, like, why, right? Why do you want to try something new or challenge yourself, or do you want to go somewhere else to learn something or build a skill that you have not fully developed and make it much stronger? Then go back to your original or what you were doing before, your preferred field. Are you transitioning because you don't have a choice? Were you made redundant, and it's not really much of a transition, much of, like, this is the only thing you can get for the time being,
Speaking
right?
about that, I have a
Yeah.
comment, and thank God you actually said it. Speaking about the why most people think about having career transitions, right? Most times when you hear people make a career transition, the major motivation sometimes is actually money, right? We have people probably from non-tech backgrounds that switch to tech actually, and when you hear their motivation, it's about, oh, I heard there's so much money in tech. And then when you start asking them what career path, like what do you want to do in tech, you're like, oh, I heard engineers earn a lot. Like that's like their major motivation.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a percentage of people that wants to just explore and learn, people that they just want to try something different and the likes. So, what would you have to say about people that fall in the category of their motivation being money?
Money is always a decent motivation, right? Yeah, of course, we work to we get paid so we can live our life to have a good life, quality of life, basically. So if you're moving solely for the money, that's a valid reason. But
Okay.
you have to be ready to do the work, and you have to be open to the fact that you may not hit the kind of money you're looking for in your first role, because except you already have um I don't know, except you're lucky you get something somewhere. But if it's you don't have the required experience or skill, you might have to settle for starting from a level lower than where you're coming from, right? So
Okay.
you can,
Perfect.
yes, so that you can, and that'll be less money. And then you might be like, I thought engineers were rich. What's going on? Well, you're comparing yourself to engineers that have been writing code for 5 to 10 years and have worked in different companies and different industries and other experience. So you have to be able to be realistic. Set smart goals,
Yeah.
right? You know what the R for smart stands for, right? It has to be realistic, and you need to know, okay, what level am I coming at in? When you're looking at people that are making money, you also have to, what level are they at? Did they just start last week or 6 months ago and they hit it big? If they did, they might just be the exception and not the, not the rule. Not, yeah. So you have to look closely. If they're your friends, you have to ask questions like, okay, how did you do it? Like, is it something I can mirror and see if I can get the same results? And you have to be ready to just be open and be flexible and keep thinking about the money you're trying to make. Keep motivating yourself, like very
Right.
soon. Yeah.
Okay. Speaking about motivation, right? Um, you're the only person that I know that done this career transition. No, I think you guys are too. So, for you, was there someone in particular that inspired you? Or I mean, you mentioned that it was when you went for your MBA, you started like getting a lot of things and you felt like, let me try it out. But is there someone you personally know that has like had a major career switch and currently inspires you?
Mm, well, I mean, there's someone I know. I trained as my dad. My dad has had the
Shout out to that.
shout out to my dad. He's done a lot in his career, and he has switched. He has gone from working in a bank to working in an import export business to working to starting his own businesses, right? To working in a university, and so these are different industries, these are different roles,
Yeah,
and he has been able to excel at most of them, right? And I've seen him do it over and over and over again. So I think that made me realize, okay, I can also uh, do the same thing as well, as long as you're able to put in the work. I believe that you are there for, like, what's your goal, right? I'm very goal oriented. I know why I'm making this move, right? I know why I'm making. I know what I want to gain from this move, right? So even though I might not be getting the money that I need, but I'm like, okay, this is for now. This is the investment I'm going to make in myself and with my time, so that in the future, I'll reap the benefits.
your dad
Yeah.
is your inspiration. You are my inspiration.
Why? Thank you.
Okay, so I was going to ask, I mentioned this earlier before we started, that do you see yourself coming back? Is there a probability of you come back to product management, or it's not a decision you've made yet?
Oh, I definitely see myself going back into product management. I'm not done. I'm not done yet.
You come back
Yeah,
as a game changer in that
I
field.
hopefully I'm not nowhere near done. So like I have people that inspire me in this field. Kagan is one of the product people I look up to. What he has done, what he's currently doing on the product space. Uh, Basically, everyone in the SVPG group
Mm-hmm.
as well, and other product leaders that have done amazing things. Like I'm still trying to build products that 2 billion people are using, or a couple billion more people are using. Helping make that helps. It helps make their lives better because that's what like primary reason why
That's the
we
purpose.
build products, right? It helps people's lives or an aspect of their lives be better or easier. So yeah, I still have that ambition to do something like that. So definitely coming back to
So we're
product.
expecting you probably after a year, this year.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Okay, so since you've confirmed that you're definitely like coming back to product management, definitely be coming in with new skill sets, like you're coming back to change the game. So what's the benefits of the new you, like combined with your skill sets from sales? What benefits would it pose to both your team and also the organization at large?
Change the game. That's a heavy statement. uh, so I'm coming back. So I'm coming back armed with knowledge I've gained in my from my MBA program and while working in sales, and I can tell like this period has helped me, really be more introspective about the kind of um, leadership style I'd like to employ going forward in my product career because I'm at that stage where I have led teams, some successful, some not so
Mm-hmm.
successful, and I've been able to be more introspective about okay, what kind of leader do I want to be, and what aspects of my leadership qualities can I improve. As well as I now and the MBA has now taught me more about being more conscious of the financial aspects of the business. I had the computer science background, software engineer, that into product. I really do accounting or finance. So now I'm more familiar with, you know, terms that businesses are, care deeply about, like, the capex, opex, operational expenses, you know, net present value, when you consider what projects you want to work on, um, talking about the internal rate of return of a project, the ARR. These are the terms that I wasn't really familiar with,
Yeah.
right? So understanding what gearing means if you're working in a company that's publicly traded, so as a product manager, if you're more aware of these things, like you won't just suggest
Yeah.
to build stuff for the sake of building stuff because it's fancy or your user says you should build it, like
Mm-hmm.
because you as a product manager you have to build things that serve both the customers and the business, right? So I'm more sensitive to things that will serve the business and how I can combine that with what will serve customers, as well as if I'm working in a team, whether as an individual contributor or as a team leader. You have to be a leader either way, whether you don't have a team or whether you have a team, right? You can lead by example. You can lead by so many different styles, and um, sales as well comes in where to drive revenue growth, drive customer acquisition, all these things. Now I'm able to understand, okay, how best can I get customers to purchase, just understand customers' needs and convince them to, you know, purchase, to buy into us. Apart from having a great product that works,
Yeah.
right?
Product that
because
works. nobody's
Yes.
convinced to buy it. Because
Yeah.
I think part of sales too is also like ensuring you have, because it has a lot of creative thinking.
Yeah.
Because
Definitely.
you definitely be involved in ads, very relatable ads that would ensure customers like relate to it and we need to just purchase as they go immediately and the like. So
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah. I mean, you have to improve the conversion rate because marketing is there to get the message out to inform users that okay, we exist or this thing
yeah,
exists, right? And then your sales funnel has to be there to convert people that the message gets to, convert them into actual users, right? Because so that everybody works together at the end of the day, right? So you're not just passing information on, but nobody's buying. You're not just throwing hours out there. So sales funnel, right? Understanding the sales funnel, but that is a skill like I'm looking to bring in, right? So how do you move them from awareness to buyers, from the awareness stage to the last stage, which is to make them buyers, then make them repeat buyers,
yeah.
right? So that's also something else like I'm really going to bring into any role I choose to.
Anyways, I like the fact that we're having this conversation. You mentioned you had to learn a lot of things in the industry, like a lot of keywords, a lot of terms. You've used some of them on this call that I don't even understand. And you also really, and you've also mentioned this experience has made you to be more sensitive as regards the product that you're building. You have to ensure that this is something that the salespeople will be able to easily sell. Like you're more sensitive to them now. So
Yeah.
thinking about you that actually did this quick pivot into sales for some time, so you can come back and change the game in product management. There are still some professionals, right? There's some professionals that are not even, they don't have any motivation to want to try a new thing out. I mean, that's the whole point of this conversation. So, of course, people like you would be more competitive because you have a much more better edge compared to other product managers that don't have not explored another background and like. So, what would be your advice to professionals to try and explore different career paths that will complement their current career and how to make them more competitive in the market?
Okay, so hmm, advice. I don't think there's a one size fits all advice. Depends on where the person is in their journey. Um, yeah. So someone that's been doing something for, of course, everybody can change, but it might be harder for someone that's been doing something for 20 years, 30 years. But if you're relatively new, I would say one thing. So I've worked in multiple. I've done software engineering. I've done data analysis. I've done product. I've done IT support. I've done operations. I'm doing sales. So I would say all those things. I've collected bits from them and molded into my career and help me be successful at things I've done so far. So I say if you're starting out, be open minded and be self aware. Right, you will have strengths in some places, and you not be so strong in some other areas. Right, so to be able to be self aware of where your strengths and weaknesses lie, so that you know the skills that I need for that development in yourself. Right, so be more open minded. Right, it might not be ideal to shoehorn yourself into one particular career path so early,
Yeah.
right? Because you might not know if you need to have some wiggle room, right, to be able to explore, right? But if you are so certain that this is what you want to do, the best way to pick up those skills that you need is to do those things, is to have the experience, right? Is to work in those roles for a time. Okay, so if you're in an organization, you don't want to leave your current role, you might look at volunteering to work with another team, right? With another cross-functional team to pick up skills in that area that you feel will benefit you, right? So if you're in an organization that allows cross mobility, where you can transition within the organization, I would suggest you make use of that, to take advantage of it, right? And be more intentional
And self-aware.
and self-aware about. And it's easy to say because I have some years now, but at the beginning, we're so young. We don't really know much about ourselves yet. We don't really, but like if we take a step back and you know find out, okay, what do I like? Where do I succeed more? Right? What things do I succeed more at? Right? What things can I improve on? You do this regularly with yourself from time to time, and then I'm like, okay, how can I improve this area? How can I improve in this area? And then we go out and find, okay, can I do it within my current organization? Do I have to leave
Yeah.
my current organization to do it? Right? You have to consider these trade offs and just make that decision, right? So open mindedness, self awareness, intentionality, right, and being being ready to fail, right? But just know that, okay, fail is not the end; it's a lesson. You learn, you pick yourself up, and you go again. No lesson learned is ever wasted. I would say.
So, a quick one. Do you see yourself exploring another role in the future? Like, never say never.
Oh, definitely. I could decide I want to do marketing tomorrow. I was like, okay, I want to see what it's like to, drive awareness of a product and get people excited about a service or product. All right.
It's crazy. Marketing
Yeah.
is a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Marketing is a
Right.
lot.
How do you
Temu,
how do you beat the noise?
yeah,
How do you
Temu, this Temu.
yeah?
I said Temu marketing was a lot. You would know that they put a lot into that, and they got there.
Marketing is so creative, right? You is and you're a creative person. Marketing, you
Sweet.
can do a lot, right? Especially if you're within the right environment. So yeah, as a product person who sits in between all these departments, it will help to be able to have a bit of experience with each thing to make you more, rounded. There's because there's so much you have to learn, know, so much you have to be able to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you do all these things, it makes you better for it in the end, right? You might have to sacrifice some things, like maybe you won't get as much money
Yeah, like you mentioned.
at that time when you're doing all these things. So it depends on your personal circumstances. Can you afford to do it? I'm lucky enough to be able to afford to switch, and regardless of the money, and just because I'm just going there for the sake of the experience and knowledge, and then
So
and
there's always that
believe,
stage.
yeah, yeah. So
Mm.
and I believe like I can always make it back into products, and easily. Not as easy, but easily. You get what I mean?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Um. So my last question to you would be, what do you miss like most? I know you're enjoying sales. I know you're coming back to product. Well, what have you missed so far about product management?
This
What's
might.
that side?
I mean, like, what do I miss? I would say I maybe miss, um, the thrill about
Hmm.
shipping products or experiences for users. You launch something, getting feedback, or that time when you're iterating with your team, with your engineering team, they're trying to figure out solution to a problem that your customers are having. It's also the most frustrating thing sometimes.
Absolutely.
Right, but like that's place because well, maybe because my software engineering background, I always like to push stuff out and see how people react to it. And then work on it to make it better. I guess, yeah. So working, but then being a product manager still
So,
it's still because as a product manager, you still don't sometimes you have sleepless nights
actually,
because
or while you're sleeping, you're thinking about God,
while you're
what
sleeping,
is
you're thinking
going
about
well
the
tomorrow.
release on Friday or how that release didn't go well or customer complaints or
Yeah.
yeah, so many things coming up. But yeah, I mean that process where you and your product designer are working on iterations, MVPs that you're testing out to the users, and yeah, that's also so that's something I miss.
We can't wait to have you back now. So,
Yeah, can't wait to be back.
soon. So that'll be all. Thank you so much for your time. I don't know if you have any last recommendation or thoughts or comments that you'd like to share with anybody that is looking towards having a career transition or just considering it.
Okay. Well, not really. I'm just going to recap. What we said. I would say, have a goal, right? Is it because you're no longer you have new interests, or is it because you want to develop a skill? Right. You need to have a goal as to why you're because that will guide the kind of decisions you make. Right.
Mhm.
The kind of teams you get into. So, and also, you know, it's not easy. It can be difficult, right? You need to know this ahead of time. I need to be grounded, right? And expect that it might be difficult, it might take you longer than expected, or you might start, it might not be as easy as you thought when you get the thing to succeed. And just give yourself grace, right? To understand that you are trying something new, you're challenging yourself. At the end of the day, you're going to be better off for it. So, yeah, that's everything.
Thank you so much. Um,
Thank you, Aminat.